Hello, welcome to Thursday nights here on the Illuminerdi. I am Josh. Here with me tonight is, as always, I don't know what I was trying to say there. We got Caitlin and JD. How are you guys doing this week, today?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for episode 11 of The Bad Batch. And then just to jump over the Marvel side really quick, we got a new trailer for What If, which was super cool. And then Black Widow officially is coming out.
Yeah, in like 18 minutes, 12 minutes now.
Yeah.
That was a fast 6 minutes. And going up against us in our time slot is the first episode of the Illuminerdi POV, a movie podcast. That is myself, Joe, Jay from the wrestling show, and Tatiana, and we're all talking about Black Widow. And then I believe our next episode is going to be Space Jam 2, as long as everything works out right for that. But on this note, Shay is not interested in Space Jam 2 at all because he sucks. But I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sort of with Jay on this. I'm sort of with Shay on this one.
So I'm not excited for it, but I'm not like against watching it either. Like I'm just like, all right, it exists, so I'm gonna watch it. I'm not gonna
apathetic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just. It's there.
I'm not in the right age group for Space Jam 2 have been a huge thing for me. I remember watching it, but it was not like I was kind of like, okay, cool, VHS, whatever.
I think really the only reason I kind of have an interest in it is because the Droogs are there watching the game. And I'm just like I'm like, this is a kids movie and they have characters from A Clockwork Orange there. How does that make any sense? Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I will say before we get off of Space Jam, the second one somehow looks weirder. So well done on that.
Yeah. And Don Cheadle's in it. I was talking to Shay about this the other night. I can't complain about that. I'm a Don Cheadle fan, so I'll watch it. But Star Wars wise, have we had any recent news come out about that? Like anything? Yeah. I got good grammar.
Yeah, I could tell. A little bit. There was an exclusive from, I think, Fandom Wire saying that Mando and Grogu are going to make an appearance in Boba Fett, although I think the Mando thing had been reported on a few months ago, so that was a little odd.
There was something I saw about the Acolyte, I think.
So the weirdest part about the Acolyte right now is the fact that the showrunner has very explicitly hired someone that hasn't ever seen Star Wars, and she's super proud of that fact.
That's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Because crossing sci-fi franchises for a moment, Star Trek, Nemesis was directed by someone who wasn't really into Star Trek, and that movie was not absolute shit, but it was not great. Nemesis was probably the movie that killed the Next Gen franchise in the movie theaters.
I mean, what I don't understand about it is Star Wars it's definitely a franchise you can come into, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of lore and history there, and while they're exploring a new time period, realistically it's kind of an important time period that sets the tone for the Sith, it's the start of the Sith. So having someone that knows nothing about what that grows into, I mean, I guess it's supposed to be to make sure the story tracks for non-Star Wars people, but I don't really get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if this person is willing to completely immerse themselves in Star Wars lore to get to where they need to be. And just hasn't been, and just wasn't into Star Wars before that, and that this is the thing that brought them on board. Because, you don't have to be a big Star Wars fan from like your entire life to all of a sudden be like, oh, this is something that I'm doing. Let me learn all about it, and I can make a good movie. Like that's something that is possible. But superficially, that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope.
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous. I mean,
Yeah.
I will also say it's not like it's the entire writer's room doesn't know Star Wars. I
Right.
think it's like a person or two. So, like, if it was like no one has seen Star Wars but me, I'd be a little more like, wow, that's a choice.
Yeah. I don't know. In the chat with us right now, we have Donnie Pearson. Thank you for joining us, Donnie. Django Fett is here. He asked if we're going to watch Black Widow. I've seen it already. I know you are going to watch it tomorrow. I don't think you're not going to be staying up after the Bad Batch to watch it, are you?
Me?
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Oh, you have seen it already.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So I mean, but
I will still be watching it tomorrow.
Yeah, right. We may be doing a watch log tomorrow night. I'm not sure what the specifics are about that yet. Hopefully, if that does happen, we'll be able to make an announcement about that by midday Pacific time. Yeah. Who else we got here? Toku Kid, who says, "Good. Let them not know Star Wars to make something fresh and have someone just correct stuff so that it doesn't clash with established history." That's a good way of looking at it too. If they have like a continuity person there to go, no, you can't do that because of this, and they accept that criticism and change it, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, like, the one good thing about the fact that this is so far removed from the other Star Wars stuff is, unless you do something insane and have like 100 Sith or something, you're pretty in the clear.
I mean, didn't they do that in Rise of Skywalker?
We don't include that. That hurt my heart. We don't include that.
Yeah, it was. JNR Film says, I work at a movie theater and we're expecting the Black Widow crowd to be insane.
You're probably not wrong to expect that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to feel about it leaving the theater.
It's the first MCU movie in over 2 years, so it's gonna be insane. And
going in, I don't know what their reaction is going to be coming out.
Personally, I think general audiences are gonna like it a lot. I liked it. I know other people didn't. There are things I was not a huge fan of in it, and I will be happy to discuss that later when I know people have seen it, because I don't want to be a jerk. I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. I'm very excited to see kind of what happens after, and that's about all I'm going to say on the matter.
Yeah. I agree. After you guys have watched Black Widow, come back to our channel, and you can watch, again, myself, Jay, Joe, and Tatiana discussing it. Or if you're an audio person and want to listen to us on a podcast, you can listen to the audio version if you look up the Illuminerdi POV on your favorite podcast platform. I think we're on Spotify, iTunes, Google. I don't know if we're on Stitcher or not. I'm not sure if that actually got approved yet or not, but it should all be up there by the morning, so you can find it there. I don't see the new episode live yet. So we still have a few more minutes before that goes up. So JD, based off of last week's episode, what are you looking to see this week?
I don't know. Something fun, something new. I don't know. Like, there wasn't anything to like jump off on. So, like,
yeah, they played monster chess or alien chess or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Omega's Gambit.
Yeah, it's a spinoff of Omega.
It's so Maverick, but starring Omega.
Shay, you misspelled Donnie Pearson's name. How dare you?
Like Maverick, the Richard Donner film based off the TV show.
Maverick?
Yes.
Is that the cowboy one? Like the Western one?
Yeah. Mel Gibson and a bunch of other people.
Ooh, Django Fett says they want more Crosshair side missions. I agree. Crosshair has been very cool whenever we see him. which has been like 3 or 4 times total.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
So Django, are you looking to see more just from Crosshair's point of view? Like, do you want to see what his entire team is up to, or are you looking to see Crosshair interacting with the Bad Batch as well? Because I'd be down for like an episode that's kind of just solely focused on them. Like, I think that would be like an interesting like side thing just to kind of change things up a little bit.
I mean, if there was going to be an episode for that, this would be the right one.
Like an all Empire episode?
Yeah.
Because they didn't set anything up for this week.
That's true. So this week could be the beginning of like a new kind of a new arc, I guess.
Well, the leak that went out a while ago on Reddit says that episode 11 is called Devil's Deal. So that could be an Empire thing.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that a little bit at the end of last week's episode. I know we discussed a lot because we all had various feelings on that. I don't know. What do you just to kind of rehash that a little bit? What are you thinking the Devil's Deal might be?
I mean, I'm hoping they just full on go Darth Maul or something, or Jabba.
I would assume, again, based off of the name Devil's Deal, that it's going to be the Bad Batch having to make a choice about making a deal with someone that they wouldn't normally want to. So yeah, that could be Jabba, that could be Darth Maul, really anyone from kind of the Star Wars underworld scene.
Or this is the Loki crossover moment, since the little boy or little girl, like in the first episode, thought that Loki was the devil because of the horns.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. What like, even really thinking back to last week's episode, was there really anything at all that came out of that? Like, I can't think of like any real progress that we made. Right. Yeah, that's right. And that's really about it.
And we got to see the Empire being horrible to the to a planet that was part of the not Senate.
Separatists.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Separatists.
Yeah, so I guess that moved the rebellion storyline forward a little bit.
Yeah, that's more of a lore thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
World building, which I enjoy. I'm a big world building person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always enjoy when we get more world building and seeing outside things from what the norm is. But last week just didn't seem to do enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it had like solely been something that took place outside,
it looks like
of that main storyline. Oh, let's take a look. We got
last week's episode was fun. I just felt like there was more potential for stuff there, and it's called Devil's Deal.
Yep. So that is correct. The description is: as the seeds of rebellion foment on an outer rim world, the Empire schemes to squash it.
Is foment a word, or did they mean for?
It's foment.
Okay.
Foment is like building.
Have never ever seen or heard that word. Cool.
It's very not normally used. The official dictionary description for it is instigate or stir up an undesirable or violent sentiment or course of action. The archaic definition is bathe a part of the body with warm or medicated lotions. I don't think that's the one that's being. I don't think that's the version that's being used here.
You're welcome, audience, for your vocabulary lesson of the day.
You know.
It'll really help you on those SATs, kids.
Or the script spelling bee. That's the thing in the news now, right?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about where we are right now within the world of Star Wars. I'm kind of ready to see what we got.
It looks like
What
we're
about
getting
you?
more Empire and Rebel stuff. I'm very excited.
Yes. JD, any thoughts before we actually jump into the screening? No. I'm gonna go with no.
I don't know. Go Empire. I think I'll go Empire.
Go Empire. I love it.
I like it. All right. Well, let's let Touche. Thank you for pasting the description in the chat there too. If everyone wants to go ahead and get queued up here, get yourselves to either the black screen or the Disney screen, and I'll give you another minute or so to get that set up before we start. But yeah, looking at the description based off of that, yeah, we're definitely gonna be getting more Empire stuff. Probably some action. Maybe more action than last week. I would hope, based off of this.
I mean, last week's had some fun. That's the thing. Like, we were not huge fans of last week. I thought it was fun. I thought it could have been more, but it did have some cool little Bad Batch action in there.
I mean, I enjoyed everything inside of the. It wasn't a walker. It was like a
tank
type thing. Yeah, I enjoyed everything that took place in the tank. Them like backing it up and having to blow through the door.
The Star Wars Fast and the Furious tank chase.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I'm unusually not wordy tonight. But no, I guess let's get started. So if you guys are ready, are you guys ready?
Yep.
All right. So let's hit play in 3, 2, 1, play. And for you guys in the chat there who are watching along with us, feel free to talk to us during the chat and bring things up that you're seeing on the show that you'd like to talk about or discuss with us.
Ooh.
A lot of people.
Oh, they're on Ryloth.
Is that a Trump rally?
Nice. So Ryloth is where all the Twi'leks are.
And that was Crosshair, right?
Yep.
Speed RC, welcome to the watch along. We have just started. We're maybe 15 seconds in, 20.
Yeah. So the orange Twi'lek behind them is the dad of Hera from Rebels.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, hey.
General Syndulla. We haven't actually seen Hera's mom before, so this is cool. He's faux sure lying, because General Syndulla pretty much always fights against anyone trying to take over Ryloth. Cham. I never remember his first name. I like that clone's haircut.
Yeah. I mean, I'm jealous of anyone that has hair, so.
It's like nice to know they have hair gel in that time.
Right?
Syndulla? Is that what he said?
Yeah,
He said?
the orange guy is Cham Syndulla. That's his last name. He was the general that really fought against the droids in the Clone Wars to help Ryloth, while the actual senator kind of hung out on Coruscant.
Gotcha.
This is interesting. He's going along with this because even in Clone Wars, he's like, "So you guys are just gonna stick around after you win, huh?" That's that same dude from the holograms, right?
I think so.
Oh, him? Yeah. That's Admiral Rampart, I believe.
We're gonna see Hera. That's so cool. Oh my god, is this Chopper? Please let this be Chopper. Yes!
Oh.
We have little Hera and Chopper. This is amazing.
Wow, why does she have such a strong accent?
Because she hasn't lost it yet.
It's like a very Luke Skywalker moment.
She's a pilot. She's always wanted to be a pilot. So this is very much that she's staring at the sky wanting to be up there thing.
Mm.
You think they're going to go into the other members of Rebels?
I don't think a lot. I think Sabine is like 1 or 2.
But like Zeb and...
Well, Zeb wasn't involved in the Clone Wars at all. Like, his planet wasn't. They got taken over by the Empire and wiped out. So if we jump over there, I would guess it would be when the Empire's a little more established. And we saw Kanan in the first episode.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they ran across Kanan again, though.
Yeah, I hope it's not this episode.
No, that'd be a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
Do we know Hauser?
I'm gonna look.
I don't remember.
Jesus. Sorry, I wasn't looking. That scared me. These are great headphones that totally sound like it came from over my shoulder. I don't see Hauser anywhere. If we do know him, let us know in the chat. I don't think you should be using a little kid as a spy. Just gonna throw that out there.
Do you think he really sent her? I kind of saw that as him covering for her.
I'm sure he was covering for her, but then the mom was like, "Tell me everything you've seen."
Mm.
So this guy hates Cham because everyone likes him way more than the senator.
I mean, I could kind of understand that. He kind of looks like he's got that disease from The Stand.
He liked being on Coruscant because he got to do whatever he wanted and didn't have to actually do anything for his planet.
I mean, that sounds about normal for
Yeah.
senators.
Yep. Also, I don't think an oppressive force means that you're free. You're like 10.
And Joe just showed me more shit that I'm gonna have to buy.
Really?
Yeah. There's Star Trek jumpers that I guess came out recently.
You mean your interests on Ryloth?
There you go.
Yep. Oh, I have a bad feeling.
Do they sharpen their teeth, or do the men have pointy teeth and the women not have pointy teeth?
I have no idea. I feel like in Mandalorian, the female Twi'lek had pointy teeth. So
That's what I thought.
Hera doesn't. That's not cool. I love Chopper. He's like R2-D2 level snarky, but kind of worse.
He sounds like the adults from Charlie Brown.
That's Dave Filoni. He's the one who voices
Really?
Chopper. Yeah. I assume he did it in this one too, but he voiced him in Rebels.
Okay, she also doesn't have sharp teeth.
Yeah, they also have on the side of their head, not just the, I believe they're called Leku, but they have these like point things where their ears would be.
Well, the senator dude had 4.
Yeah. Cool. This is gonna go well.
I'm now really oddly fascinated with
Is that
Twi'lek
the Bad
biology.
Beast? Yeah, I am too. Is that the Bad Batch?
It
I think
looks
it
like
is.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I like how they brought this in. I like this. Yeah. This has been my favorite entrance of them so far.
It's interesting because we're about 15 minutes in now, and it's the first we've seen them.
Yeah.
That's
Well, the next episode is supposed to be called Rescue on Ryloth, so this might be like a two-parter.
that'd be cool.
Mm.
Oh, they're gonna get along.
Yeah. She's so confused.
So this music in the background actually kind of sounds like Stargate.
It's I think it's her music from Rebels. You will achieve it. It's so weird that we're never going to see them interact as adults.
Right?
Unless we see them both in like any of these future shows.
Yeah. I also find it interesting now that we know that they're building up an arsenal behind the back of the Empire.
Yep, I totally feel like Hera's mom is going to die because of that.
So the deal with the devil, it looks like, is the Twi'leks, not the Bad Batch.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless it's Syndulla making the deal with the Empire.
Oh, maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, because you got Tracker, guys.
Oh, so Donnie Pearson chimed in about the music. Kevin Kleiner scored Stargate SG-1, and he also scores the Bad Batch.
Oh, nice.
That's why that sounded familiar. Thank you for that information, Donnie. I actually really do appreciate that.
Uh-oh. Oh my god, they're gonna get torched. Well, not Hera, obviously. She's an adult later in Star Wars, but... Uh-oh. Huh. Do you think he's immune to Order 66?
What a dick.
He might be.
I mean, they're not Jedi, so.
No, but like a lot of times these guys don't seem to care, you know?
Mhm.
Gobi
They-
really should not have taken Hera on a freaking supply run for weapons.
I like the Kermit arms.
Yep. And that will be the crime. I love Chopper. He also hits people with his arms.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Huh. I hope I get to see that.
Mm-hmm. Like, let's arrest the child. Obviously, she was the brains behind all of this. So this probably fails since the next one's going to be called Rescue on Ryloth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if Hera's mom is going to die here. Oh, nice.
Why you gotta put bad stuff out there like that?
Well, she's not alive in Rebels. And Cham Syndulla is like way meaner about Chopper in Rebels too, whereas Hera's mom seemed to actually kind of like him. And Senator Ta is very much a Palpatine flunky.
Definitely comes across that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just a stun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe they're all gonna flee at the end, and the rescue is going to be rescuing them from there. Like they don't necessarily get caught, but they have to get off planet.
Why? Uh-oh. Yeah, you can't be killing people in front of your kid, dude.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't see that coming.
No.
Dang, okay. And now they gotta be rescued. Because they killed the senator.
Isn't he dead? So
Yeah, I'm not sure what Attempted was about.
yeah.
I'm hoping that this guy is immune to the chip and is gonna call like Rex or something. Actually, I don't think he can call Rex because I don't think Hera knew Rex. Wow, the Bad Batch was in like 2 minutes of that.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
Jay and Django actually kind of got what he was asking for.
Yeah, I dug that episode. I'm also a huge Rebels
That was a
fan,
good
though.
episode.
So, what do you think, Josh? Because it focused on a lot of characters you didn't know.
Yeah, so I actually felt like I didn't need to know like the history of any of them. Like having that would definitely add an additional dimension to what I got out of this episode, but I felt like I was learning about them, like who they were for the first time here. Because obviously, like you said, the what was the little girl's name, or the younger girl with
Hera.
Hera. So it seemed like it was almost like a not like an origin for her, but this would like chronologically this would be like the first time that we saw her. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I didn't really need to know anything about these other characters other than what I was getting here in this episode. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like you didn't need to know that Caleb, the little Padawan, turns into Kanan later to understand the like importance of that scene in the pilot.
Yeah, that's true. But no, this was a good episode. I like that it ended on a cliffhanger too.
Yep. Really curious how the Bad Batch is going to come into play in the next episode, assuming they do.
Yeah, do you think I've like completely lost all the names this week. What was the name of the stormtroopers with the blue that we were trying to figure out earlier?
Hauser.
He definitely seems different than the other ones. Because he was questioning orders, which like we were saying before, they aren't Jedi, but it seems like all the clones were really bred just to follow orders, and the Order 66 was less about them being Jedi and more about like, okay, now you're all listening to me and you're gonna do what I tell you regardless of what it is. Because that's how it was with Crosshair was, okay, well, these guys are traitors, so you have to go after them. It did, like, his feelings about the rest of his team don't matter anymore because he's being forced to comply. Whereas Hauser definitely felt like he was having second thoughts about complying.
Yeah, he felt like the clone troopers we got to know in Clone Wars. Like, he was still friendly to Cham. Like, you could still see that relationship there. And we haven't really seen that with the other clones. They've been very kind of robotic almost, like that brainwashing type style. Like, even just to regular nobodies on the street, they're like actively kind of awful to them.
Yeah. So Luca Konigs, who is in the chat with us now, says that he didn't like how the Bad Batch only had 2 minutes of screen time. So he is completely the opposite of Jango Fett.
I mean, that's fair because it is called the Bad Batch, and even Crosshair wasn't really the focus of the episode. This is very much more of like, I mean, it sort of is. Here's an origin for Hera joining the rebellion.
Right. I'm okay with the Bad Batch not really being a big focus of this week's. JD, how did you feel about that?
I felt fine with it. I mean, it gave us something different. You know, it was like I don't know, it was a really cool story. Like, didn't have to revolve around the Bad Batch. I mean, I guess Crosshair is still technically the Bad Batch, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
It still works, I think. Yeah. I think also it develops Admiral Rampart's character more.
Yeah.
Right, because we haven't seen barely anything of him. So this makes him a little more cunning, you know?
Yeah, he is smart.
Yeah, this was a really smart plan.
Yeah, so just that weird word thing that we caught at the end about the attempted murder of Senator Todd. Like, I thought you were just gonna pin this on them like directly. So I don't know what the attempted thing is.
The only thing I can think of is that they're gonna say that the actual assassin escaped, so then they can kind of almost have martial law over the entire planet.
Yeah.
Well, also,
And
I guess maybe he's not actually dead yet. So right
he
now,
got
it's just
shot
attempted.
in the head. Like there was a head, there's a bullet, like a laser wound in his head.
I mean, I don't know Twi'lek physiology,
anatomy.
So, yeah, or anatomy.
Maybe there's a bone in the side that he just has a hole, but it's not.
Catches bullets.
So let me see. Jango Fett says, I thought the Twi'leks defeated the clones during the chase as if they were stormtrooper level threats.
Yeah.
Yeah. That fight was really good. Like I really enjoyed the choreography there. Luca Koenig says that he felt like he was watching a Rebels episode, not a Bad Batch episode.
It kind of felt like a cross between Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yeah. I mean, all these series are related. Again, I don't have that background with Rebels and Clone Wars to kind of compare them. But it definitely felt like it still took place in the same series. It just felt like it was like a side story that is going to be wrapping back around. Like if we either didn't get the Bad Batch at all, or if it hadn't ended on that cliffhanger and it like the story had been wrapped up this time, I might have a different feeling about that. But since we know it's going to connect to something else next week that they're almost definitely going to come in and be a part of, I didn't really see a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, Hera could have learned how to contact them when she was getting the tour of the ship from Omega.
Yeah, that's very true. JNR Film says that Rampart is like a Thrawn Jr.
A little bit. Thrawn is very much the cerebral bad guy to Vader's kind of brute force bad guy style.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about Thrawn. I know kind of who he is, but I don't know.
He was initially a character from the Star Wars Legends books that got brought into the canon through Rebels, and now there are canon Thrawn books. But he's really, really smart. He actually had a plan that was for a TIE fighter that had shields. So if you shot at it, it wouldn't instantly be destroyed, which in the timeline of Star Wars was basically the alternate or competing plan with the Death Star. Okay. And the reason it didn't work is because at the end of Rebels, it basically gets destroyed and he gets jettisoned off into space. But he is very tactical, cerebral. If Vader is kind of just the enforcer of Palpatine, Thrawn is playing chess.
Yeah, he's a super strategic.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Because this plan here was definitely very, very well thought out. I did not see. I mean, yeah, I don't think any of us saw that coming. I thought the shot was going to be at one of the Twi'leks, one of the other Twi'leks, not the senator.
And it's a good plan
Yeah,
because that
I was
senator
gonna be
was
a sham,
annoying.
and that like his wife would save him or something.
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think this had been set up for a while? Like do you think like before the supply run? Do you think that was all? Maybe the supply run shifted the way it happens. But do you think the plan to fake the assassination of or not fake, but to frame them for the assassination of the senator was always there?
Probably. I don't know that they were like he said. Syndulla was way more cooperative than he was expecting, so they
Mhm.
may have not necessarily been planning to frame him unless he kind of stepped out of line. They're
Right.
probably going to frame the fighters, but I mean, you kind of have to assume they were planning this because they tracked the ship the second it left, so they knew something was coming.
Yeah.
So I think they just used this to their advantage. I mean, even when Cham was like, "You said my daughter committed treason," like you could kind of tell Ta was like, "I did what now?" Like I don't think
Yeah.
he fully had done that. I think he was just pissed and was trying to use it to kind of as political capital. I don't think he was going to have
Right.
like a child executed. So the fact that they put that out there and then use that to their advantage to have the loud senator get killed, I think that was good. They also get to lock up all the essentially rebels or would-be rebels. Like, it's a really good plan that they pulled off.
Yeah, because this gives them now also a reason, like you were saying during the episode, not only martial law, but it gives them almost carte blanche to go around and actually like round people up. Are you a rebel? Are you a rebel? Just
Yep.
like filtering all of that out. Luca in the chat says, I think that Clone Commander Hauser, who we were talking about before, is going to break out Hera's mom and dad, or the Clone Commander is going to contact the Bad Batch.
I don't know how you contact the Bad Batch unless he knew them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could definitely see the first part of that happening, though. Yeah, that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Donnie Pearson is taking off. So thank you again for joining us. I'm sure we will see you over the weekend with either of the Ranger shows and all the other stuff next week. So thanks again. Did anything else like stand out to you? I know there was a lot of stuff that come up during the episode, but this character specifically, the girl Tara, right?
Hera, Hera.
Hera. So who is she in the other series?
So in Rebels, she is actually like the leader of their little rebel group, and this is before it's like in the first season before it's a full-on like rebel force. It's basically these little rebel cells that are working on different planets. So she is the leader of one of the rebel cells, which includes Kanan, who was the Padawan who ran away in the first episode, Sabine, who is a Mandalorian and defector from the Empire, Zeb, who's a very cool like essentially ex-soldier from a planet that gets wiped out by the Empire, and oh man, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Can you help me out, JD?
For forgetting what?
His name, the kid that's like the main character.
Oh, Ezra.
Yes, Ezra. Wow.
Ezra doesn't matter.
And
Okay,
Ezra, who's like force user that they find. So Hera is very much all about fighting in the rebellion, fighting against the oppression of the Empire. She wants to work with other rebel forces. She wants to save as many planets as possible, and she's connected to Ahsoka at some point. So, I mean, we could actually maybe even see Ahsoka in the next episode.
So an idea that just kind of popped up with you telling me this. What I mean, and this would make sense. That they're over the course of this season, next season, and maybe even a third season, they could be using the Bad Batch as origins for all the characters that we're seeing in Rebels.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
Sabine is probably like 1 or 2, so I don't know that we would see that unless this was going to be way far ahead.
Right.
Ezra's, I think, just born because we find out he was born on Rebel Day or Empire Day. What were you gonna say, JD?
We could probably see like origins of not origins, but the Darksaber, like where it's at this point.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be like a thing for Sabine.
definitely.
So, like,
it's also connected to Bo-Katan and the Mandalorian, since we know I assume going to be a part of the next season. It also kind of makes sense that they're doing this, because there's a lot of assumptions that the Ahsoka series is kind of going to be the kind of sequel-ish kind of where Rebels left off, because she's searching for Ezra and Thrawn, and end of Rebels is they disappear. So it would make sense that we're seeing this stuff, because I wouldn't be shocked to see Sabine and Hera, maybe even Zeb, in the live-action Ahsoka. So I think it's smart.
Me and my friend were talking about this. We hope Thrawn shows up on a time whale, like riding a time whale in the Ahsoka series.
a time whale?
So the way that they disappear at the end of Rebels is there are these purrgils, which are like giant space whales, or I guess tie whales, that can fly at light speed.
Interesting.
Not explained really beyond that. They can fly. They can go at light speed across the galaxy. They're where we learned how to fly at light speed, I guess, is the myth. So yeah, Thrawn rode one of them back. Sure, I'm on board.
I mean, I can't really say anything about that. In Encounter at Farpoint, the series premiere of Star Trek: The Next Generation, there were giant space jellyfish that they had captured and stuck into the planet and used as bases, because they were somehow able to form them into different things. So basically they were able to make like a whole underground tunnel system using this space-faring jellyfish thing.
That's hilarious.
So,
jellyfish tunnel.
I don't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jango Fett said that they would like to see where Boba is at during all this. I would too. I think it'd be very cool if Boba was also hunting them.
Well, let's see. So this is after. Well, Boba would be like mid-teens at this point.
Yeah, he's a bounty hunter at this point. Because we saw.
I'd like to see where Mando
is. Like where Mando is.
I'd really like to see where Mando is. Yeah.
We don't know how old he is, right? I mean, we know how old Pedro Pascal is, but we don't know how old
he was a kid during Clone Wars, because we saw him get saved by Death Watch. So he could be getting trained by Death Watch. I would love to go to Mandalore and its moons and see all that stuff. I think that'd be really cool. I'm almost there's an episode in the future that the leak says is called War Mantle, and I'm like, I hope that's Mandalore. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I don't think I've ever seen Mandalore in anything.
Yeah, Mandalore's in the Clone Wars and Rebels, but we haven't visited it. Obviously, I'm Mandalorian. Although hopefully we will next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever that comes out.
We briefly talked about this during the episode, but what did you guys think about the short-lived relationship between Omega and Hera?
I thought it was great. I'm super bummed we never ever see that in Rebels, since Omega didn't exist when that show was on.
Do you think meeting Hera is going to have any sort of lasting effect on Omega? Like, do you think she's going to take anything away from that?
I think if we see Omega get interested in being a pilot, that could be connected to that. And depending on what happens in the next episode, I could almost see this being kind of the push that maybe forces the Bad Batch to actually pick a side, because they've been living in this limbo space of, we don't want to get involved. It's got nothing to do with us. We just want to stay off their radar for 11 episodes now?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Star Wars. You pick a side. Even the criminals tend to pick a side.
Unless you're what's his name from The Last Jedi, JD.
DJ.
Last Jedi.
DJ. Yeah.
I mean, he did pick a side. His side was funny. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Like, that's the side that criminals usually take. Like, the Bad Batch doesn't really do that because they don't really care about credits beyond we need food and fuel. Right. You know? Like,
and that popcorn stuff.
Yeah, their celebration popcorn.
Yeah.
Them being in debt to Sid seemed more like an annoyance than something they were actively worried about.
Yeah, although now we know that they are still working for Sid.
Yeah. I think they're going to keep working for Sid until they're forced not to. I think you were right on that, because I don't feel like
I don't think they're going to join the rebellion. Like, I don't think they're going to join the rebellion this season at all.
I don't either, but I would like to see it maybe push them to not necessarily join the rebellion, but maybe more actively go against the Empire. Like, not necessarily seek out fights, but when they see something happen and being like, yeah, we'll take them out and then go about our business. Because now they're sort of like, we're not going to get involved if we don't have to. And
I mean, I could see them also influencing Sid to take more rebellion-oriented jobs.
Yeah.
So that could be their way into that. Is they don't necessarily directly get involved, but they kind of worm their way in through like Merc style stuff.
I would love if we saw the Bad Batch next episode, like saving the day or whatever, but also like we saw Ahsoka jump in and that she leads us to Bo-Katan, just so that we have the opposite of what happens on The Mandalorian. Just because that'd be funny.
I mean, I could really see after next episode, after they see because they've already seen what was happening, or started to see what was happening in the last episode with the planets kind of rising up and the rebellion kind of starting. Yeah. Next week, they're going to get another taste of that with them almost definitely coming in to save the day here. Because I can't think of any other way that's going to happen. So, like, I could really see them, like, sitting down after next week's episode and like, really having that conversation of, okay, we have to pick a side, or what are we going to do? Like, this is all spiraling out of control now, and there's no way that they can't be involved in it.
That's, like, the moment I want Echo to really have his personality shine through and take charge, where he's like, this is crap. We're not doing this, like, junky whatever anymore. We're going to help people. This is what we're supposed to do. And obviously people need help, because he wanted to join Rex in the fight all the way like 3 episodes ago.
So JNR Films in the chat, he says, imagine if Crosshair finds out about Sid. I'd feel like she would sell them out. I don't know.
She likes Omega.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And like she was a friend to the Jedi. She also
say,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, JD.
So, I don't think he would. I don't think she would.
She seems like the kind of person.
I said I don't think she would sell them out.
Yeah. I don't either. Like she kind of to me, she kind of comes across as the type who's like, I guess like Han Solo, like his kind of personality, where I'm not gonna let you know that I like you. But I'm going to do the right thing anyway, because that's the kind of person that I am.
Yeah, kind of that Han Solo Lando feel of like, I'm kind of a scoundrel, but at heart, I'm on the right side of it.
Yeah. At least that's how it feels right now.
And on the more tactical like side of it, they're kind of the only people making her money.
Yeah, that's also true.
She doesn't really have another team running jobs for her, as far as we can tell. Yeah. So, I mean, they make decent money for her, so I wouldn't necessarily sell them out if I was her, and I also just wouldn't draw attention to myself by the Empire.
Right. And we already know that she's helping out people who are on the side of the rebellion. So
yeah.
I said, like, the only reason that I could see that she would sell them out is because of having to save her own ass. Like, I don't think if Crosshair came up and was just like, "Hey, tell me where they're at," she'd be like, "Okay." Like, I think it's got to come down to her being threatened before she would give them up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see a price necessarily that they can meet with her.
Yeah. I don't think it would be a money issue. I think it would be a I want to live issue.
Yeah, which fair.
I feel like she would probably send them somewhere and be like, "Yeah, they're not there," you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Because she really likes Omega after the last episode. Like they were actually friends.
Yeah.
Even if she doesn't like the other ones that much.
I don't know what else. Either of you guys have anything else that you picked up that kind of that stood out to you about like any of the storyline stuff, or just like fun moments?
I mean, a lot of the stuff we had talked about last episode that we wanted, we got. We saw more Empire. We saw more Crosshair. We got to actually actively explore a planet in Star Wars, not just kind of have a one-off where we see like a spot on it and then leave.
And we know we're getting more of it next week now too.
Yeah, we got to revisit characters from other Star Wars properties that like some of us know and like, but it was done in a way where if you didn't know them, it still worked. Like I just thought this was a really, really solid episode where it had world building, it had a good plot. Could it have used more of the Bad Batch? Sure, but I actually sort of enjoyed the fact that we saw them come in because it felt a little more real to the situation of we're seeing it from the opposite side. Usually we see it from their perspective of they go in, they do their job, they leave. This is kind of that opposite of, oh, they're literally there for 5 minutes. All the nonsense is sort of usually their fault. They're really only doing their job for 5 minutes.
Yeah, they really, nothing in this episode was due to them. I mean, they were the ones that showed up with the weapons that they were selling them, but sorry, what were you saying?
What do you think about like Cam's like mindset in this? Because it seemed kind of different from like what we know of him.
I was super surprised. Yeah. He is always fighting against people taking over the planet. He even like in Clone Wars when he was talking to I think Mace Windu. He's like, okay, let's say you win. Are you gonna leave? And Mace Windu's like, well, we're gonna make sure everything's like settled. And he's like, so no. So he saw this coming. I just feel like the reason he might have been like, okay, we can't really do anything about this is he also recognizes the Empire's got a lot, like their guns are way bigger than anything that they've dealt with before. Like they dealt with they're like a war-torn planet, and now what? They're supposed to fight against the guys that took down both of it? Like
sorry, what were you saying,
I was wondering if it was like had something to do with his daughter and all that. You know, like that whole like, oh, my daughter's here, but like she was alive during the Clone Wars, so it wouldn't really have changed, right?
I could definitely
from
see
like being in the Clone Wars or being under the Empire.
I mean, I could definitely see him being like, I don't want her to only grow up in war. You know, like she has grown up in a war-torn planet. It's really, as far as we can tell, kind of most of what she's known in her life. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's like, this isn't what people should live in and grow up in. And yeah, the Empire might kind of suck and it's not great that they're taking over, but at the same time, what are we supposed to do? Fight forever? Because that is what ends up happening, as we know from Rebels and stuff. And I wouldn't be shocked if he at first was like, let's not do that. You know, like Senator Toss sucks. He's not going to do anything about it. The clones that we know are good guys. They help us. And the other thing is they haven't actually seen the Empire do anything wrong. I mean, now they have, but before that.
Jango Fett says that the next episode is going to be about the Bad Batch and their take perspective on what they were doing when this episode was taking place.
I don't know if it would be set during the same time. I could see it being the Bad Batch coming to the rescue, but if it's set during the same time, I'd just be a little...
I'd be a little disappointed in that.
I would be disappointed. I'd also just be kind of confused because it's like... So we don't follow up what just happened. Like,
I feel like maybe we'll get like a brief
Take
like
weapons
montage
off the
of what was going on, like find out
more
a little backstory on the deal getting set up with Sid to go and sell the weapons. But then I think I think it might pick up with where after they took off from the planet.
that would make sense to me. Yeah. And then we have like Chopper call them or something.
So we chatted briefly throughout this episode trying to figure out who the deal with the devil was. I don't know that I know.
I would say it's Cham making a deal with the Empire, because that bit him in the ass real quick. Like, now he's gonna probably be...
Yeah, I agree. It had to be the Empire.
Yeah, because he was like endorsing the Empire basically, and now the Empire is like, ha! You're gonna get executed or thrown in jail forever because you were part of this assassination. When it's like, no. Like you said, Josh, they seem to be planning this for a while.
Yeah.
It's just not a spur of the moment move of him being like, hey, this is our chance. How about you kill the senator and we'll see what happens?
Right.
You think the people would even care that they killed the senator? Like,
honestly,
he didn't seem like he was doing anything. You know, they're like all about Cham, so like.
I mean, I agree with you. The only thing I will say is I don't know that they'd be like as on board with Cham apparently just assassinating the dude that he doesn't like. That might be the part of it that they're maybe a little like, that's not great. Like, if they had an election and Cham won, that'd probably be a little easier than, yeah, he killed him because he was not helpful.
They weren't channeling Tao's name, though.
So, I guess it's a little weird to me, too, that they would kill off Tao, because he's the one, like, he was, like, all about the Empire, and wanting to play nice with them, so...
He was a pain, though.
Yeah, but to me, I mean, again, I'm not your average citizen, I guess. But if I found out that Cham had attempted to assassinate Tao, I would be asking myself, why? What did he know that I don't?
Yeah. I think the reason they got rid of Tao, I think there's a few reasons probably. I think part of it is he's part of that old like group of senators that they probably don't really want to be in power. While yes, he was very much someone that was kind of a pawn of Palpatine, he also was very loud and obnoxious and wanted it to happen his way, which, okay, let's say they do get rid of Cham. There's no way that's his last request. There's no way he's like, okay, cool, I'm satisfied. You know, he was going to keep asking for stuff.
Right.
I think it sends a message to Ryloth of like, you know, Cham Syndulla's not the hero that you all think. He's someone that's playing the game, and part of that to him was to kill someone that helped bring peace to your planet. Because Cham fought in the war, but he wasn't part of the Senate that like actually ended it.
Where is Cham at, like, later on in the series? I know you talked about that a little bit, but like during Rebels, do we like what is he?
When we see him in Rebels, he's just full on fighting for Ryloth's freedom. He doesn't care about any other planet. It's one of the big issues between him and Hera is he's like, I don't really care if all the other planets are controlled by the Empire. I just care that Ryloth is free, and he's willing to basically screw over anyone so that can happen. So
we know that he gets out of jail.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hera's mom's gonna die. I think it's why he fights so hard against the Empire. I think it's probably part of why he hates Chopper. I think it's part of why Hera wants to, like, she's always wanted to fly, but I think it might be part of why she fully wants to leave and join the rebellion. I think Hera's mom's death is going to be super important origin-wise for both of these characters, which is why I think we're going to see it.
I mean, that would make sense.
I'd like to see the Empire appoint a governor.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious who it will be.
I have no idea.
All the players are dead.
At this point, it could be any governor. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think it just needs to be a governor to show that they're like taking over the power while there's like a power, like there's no one there. So
yeah, they did create a big power vacuum. That's another thing they did just now, which that's helpful when you're destabilizing a planet to take over.
Yeah, Anthony Ramos really enjoyed this episode. He gives it a 9.5 out of 10. If you're still watching, Anthony, let us know what you enjoyed about it. Why are you giving it such a high score? Not that I disagree. I just want to know what it was that you liked. Caitlin, I cut you off there.
No, I just said I agree. I think it was really, really solid episode. I mean, I get the complaints about there not being enough Bad Batch because there wasn't much. It was like a minute or two. Because the most we saw of the Bad Batch was Omega.
Yeah, I think like we were saying before, this definitely felt like a part one of a 2-part or even a 3. Was there a leaked title for the week after next week? So episode 13.
So next week is supposed to be Rescue on Ryloth. 13 which is the week after next, is supposed to be Infested. And then episode 14 is War Mantle. So I feel like Infested is going to be maybe like a one-off.
Yeah, that sounds like it might be like a what are those bat things?
The Geonosians.
No. Minox. Like let's say it sounds like it might be something like that, or like those weird spider things that we saw in that other show.
Wasn't there an episode in Wars? Wasn't there an episode of Clone Wars with like a little worm thing that would get into people's ears?
Yeah,
and like control them.
That was on Geonosia. Yeah.
Okay, what's Geonosia?
I mean, the other thing too is like Geonosia was huge.
So maybe something like that.
Yeah, Geonosia was huge, like on the Separatist side during the Clone Wars, and then when we see it in Rebels, there's literally one Geonosian left on the planet, as far as we can tell. So we might kind of see the Empire taking him out, because I don't really know how you control Geonosia. It's a planet full of like human-sized bugs. Like, what are you gonna do? And their queen lives like underground.
But
it's a giant bug bomb.
Based off of those titles, it sounds like next week is going to kind of wrap up the storyline a little bit. So if we're looking at it as a 2-parter, I'm completely fine with how the Bad Batch was only in a couple minutes of it, because we know we're probably going to get a lot of them in next week's episode. Yeah. It's just,
I actually kind of like it because it fits Hera. I mean, one of the things we see in season, I believe 2 of Rebels is like Kanan understandably doesn't like the clones because they murdered his Jedi master, and he's still a little sore about that, which is fair.
Understandable.
Yeah. Hera, on the other hand, very much supports the clones. She remembers the clone troopers fighting for like Ryloth to help them. If we see clone troopers actively trying to save her family and her, that would be another reason for her to trust them, even though like it would make sense to me that would be the reason she trusts them, because otherwise the last time she sees clone troopers is them basically taking over her planet. So
so actually that would make sense then if next week the Bad Batch comes in and does save them, because that would give her a reason to like the clones. Hauser, kind of flipping sides, that would also,
he was cool.
Yeah, if he flips and helps her out, that would give her another reason to kind of have the warm fuzzies for them instead.
And she like understood the inhibitor chips controlled them, so that's another reason to really put that out there. I'm so curious about Hauser. Like, he's the first clone we've seen like still have color on their uniform.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's like questioning orders. He's like, she's a kid, versus every other time we've seen them. Like, I mean, fair, he was a Jedi Padawan, but literally no one cared that Caleb was a kid. They're like, so kill him. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm excited to see next week. Jenga Fett in the chat. He gave us one 7.5 because half of it was talking, but it was still good. I like the talking.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about last week, the episode didn't push any narrative forward really, except for them paying off the debt, really, and kind of seeing the little bit of the rebellion kind of starting on that planet.
Yeah, world building.
But yeah, but other than that, like, it didn't do a whole lot this week. I felt like even though it was a lot of talk and not necessarily a lot of action until the back half of the episode, the talking did a lot. Like it moved a lot of the narrative forward a little bit, especially off of what we got last week. So, like, really looking back at last week and seeing this week now, I have a little bit of a new appreciation for last week's episode because I see what they were doing there, because that ties into what was happening in this week's episode, like, really closely as well.
And I liked that this focused on a planet that we were familiar enough with that it wasn't so much us going, well, we want to see everything. It was like, oh, okay, we get kind of the vibe of this planet. We know a decent amount of these characters. So I felt like it was a good way to really focus on the empires and what they were doing without overwhelming us with a new planet.
I also think this episode did a little bit better job of making us care about the main character that was introduced in this episode.
Totally.
With last week with I can't remember his name, but the
guy with the monocle
or whatever.
Yeah, the guy Alexander Siddig's character.
No, I think his name was Singh, like Senator Singh or Governor Singh or something like that.
That sounds right.
The monocle man.
Yeah, we got a little bit with him, but we did there wasn't really a lot of character building on him for us to be like, oh, I care if this guy lives or dies. Like,
no, his droid was funny. That's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, that was better. Yeah. With this week with Hera, like, even though it was like more or less the same amount of time that we got with her, like that whole thing with her kind of like lying on her back and looking at the sky and doing the thing with the birds, like it gave us a better feeling of, hey, I actually care about this character a little bit.
Which is really interesting because she is an established Star Wars character. So the fact that, like, JD, you've seen Rebels, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so like me and JD already knew who she was, but the fact that you didn't know her beyond us going, oh, that's Hera, oh, she's from Rebels, and kind of explaining things to you, but you were like, okay, I like her already. Mm-hmm. That's really, like, that's very well done on their part, and I'm almost like, it's that question of, like, why is it different beyond this character? Like, is it because they knew this character better that they were able to kind of infuse those moments? Because with the governor, senator, whatever he was last week, we saw at the beginning, like, I liked that he was really conflicted and then basically was like, screw it, I'm not supporting the Empire. Like, I thought that was great. But beyond that, we didn't get a lot.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I didn't not like him. He was just...
I don't care if we see him again.
You just didn't care.
Yeah. And his name was Singh.
Good job, JD.
But it doesn't say, like, what he was. I'm just looking at the credits.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Bad. No, I mean, I don't really have an opinion about, like, if we see him again, cool. If we don't, I'm not going to be bummed about it. So...
Right. Like, I didn't not like his character. I just didn't have any kind of a connection to him the way we kind of got a connection to her, because not only did she did Hera connect via us seeing that she was not happy with the way things were kind of going there, but she also connected with Omega, which was a character that we also have like some sort of connection to. Singh didn't really connect with anyone. He was just kind of there, be like, help, save me, I'm in trouble. By the way, let's go this way and blow a hole in that wall.
Yeah,
I had a connection with him because of his facial hair.
So he is a senator.
Nice. I think the character that I found really intriguing in this episode was Hera's mom. Like I said, I think she's gonna die, which sucks, but we've never seen her. Like, we literally have just seen a stained glass, essentially, window or portrait with her in it. So, like, the fact that we see her and she is suspicious of the Empire, that she likes Chopper, that she's kind of like, Hera, you shouldn't do that, but also, like, would you learn? I really like that stuff. I like that she's kind of butting heads with Cham, and like, I get where you're coming from, but also this is not good. And then when they go on the rescue mission, I love that they both did it. Like, Cham was a badass, but the mom was very, very important as a part of that mission too. So I thought they did a really good job of introducing a character that we know is important, but have never A, seen, or B, really had a lot of information beyond it's Hera's mom who died and she loved.
Yeah. I can.
This is like her anime backstory. Like, we're all gonna cry at the end of this or something like that.
Right?
I mean, we'll see what happens next week. So I mean, we've already kind of covered what you guys think is going to happen next week. Predictions. Do you have any other predictions outside of what you've already said?
I mean, I'm gonna throw it out there again. I don't think it'll happen, but I would love for Ahsoka to show up. I think that'd be very cool. But I don't know.
I feel like that's a season 2 thing.
I do too at this point. The only reason I would like it is I'm like, give me Ahsoka backstory that we can explore more in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like any other Rebel thing would be season 2.
Sorry, sorry, say that one more time, JD.
I was any other Rebel like connections might be season 2.
Yeah, I could definitely see Zeb coming into play in like season 2, or like if there's a season 2 or 3. I don't know how they would do Ezra or Sabine unless we jump like 10 years ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there might be a time jump. I don't know that it would be a 10-year time
jump. The meeting of Caleb and Hera would be really cool, but I feel like season 2.
Yeah. There's a book that kind of has when Hera and Kanan meet, but seeing it and like on the show would be very, very cool.
JNR Film says
but they read that on that.
JNR Film says that he wants a Fennec, Bane, and Crosshair standoff. I don't know if we'll see Bane again.
I don't think we will. I love him. I think he's awesome. I would love to see him in other stuff, but I don't necessarily like. We saw him in 2 episodes, so I kind of feel like that's about all we're gonna see him in. Personally, I love Bane and think he's great. I would really like to see Boba pop up like in an episode of this in some way, just because again, I like seeing stuff lead into other stuff. Other than Star Wars Visions, which comes out in, I believe, September, I think Boba, and that's kind of I don't think that's 100% canon. I think that's sort of plain.
Probably not from the stories that I'm like hearing from it.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of playing with the Star Wars world, but it's not in the actual like canon of this like Star Wars stuff. So I think the next canon thing is Book of Boba Fett. So I would love to see Boba Fett in some capacity in this. I don't know that we will, because we are pretty far into the show.
Yeah, we have what, five episodes left?
Yeah. And if next week is Ryloth, I don't see him showing up. Unless they do something crazy where he pops in for like the end of the finale for some reason, I don't see him really coming into the end game. So I almost feel like if we see him, it's going to be in like Infested or War Mantle or something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to see Fennec again. Only because the storyline between the Kaminoans hasn't been resolved yet. So like I feel like we've got this next episode which is Rylos, them getting saved. The episode after that, Infested, I think you're right. I think that's going to be a one-off. War Mantle might be starting to. I mean, that's going to be one of the last 3 episodes. So that will probably start like feeding into whatever the season finale is going to be.
The only reason I have any that like Bo-Katan showing up is on my radar is because there were like rumors of her showing up. So that's the only reason I've even thought about that as a possibility. And then like Sam Witwer had seen some early stuff with this, so that was the only reason I had even thought of Darth Maul showing up.
Yeah.
But he's also, I think, friends with the people that work on this, so I wasn't necessarily shocked when I found out he knew what was going on with the show.
Sam Witwer is a really interesting guy. Like
oh my gosh.
he's into like so much, like such a variety of things. It's really, really interesting.
There's this like such a great video of him explaining, like, so in Rebels there's the final battle between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he explains all of the choreography of it and why Obi-Wan fights in the different styles he does, because we see him do like the Ewan McGregor move.
Yeah.
We see him do the Alec McGuinness move. We see like, so he like goes into detail with it and explain, and you're just like, wow, you have thought this out and you know this so well. It's so cool.
Yeah, he is a huge nerd. Like just like epic proportions. I know I've mentioned this before, but I was chatting with him at the Saturn Awards like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it was me and like a few others talking about like Star Trek for like 45 minutes, but he was going into such detail about all of these things that we were talking about. I was like, I don't know this. Like he like just I know how big of a nerd I am and like where my knowledge is lacking in certain areas. Yeah. But it feels like if I don't know something or if I didn't know something, he was right there with like, yeah, that was this and this and this and this and this. I know that like he's like that with like also Dungeons and Dragons stuff he's really into. Like apparently he DJs too.
Oh my gosh.
But also he's like, you know, this super athletic dude, like what's his name? Joe Manganiello. Like it's like just like a bizarre thing. Like you don't normally see someone like that. You're like, wow, you're a nerd.
I mean, so's Ming-Na Wen, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Aiden talks Star Trek or Star Trek. I got that. Aiden talks Star Wars topics. Says that there is precedent in terms of retconning for the Bad Batch. This episode retconned the novel Lords of the Sith. I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm looking it up.
I listened to the audiobook for that, but I don't remember what it would have affected.
I don't know if that. I don't know when did that come out?
2014, it looks like.
Oh, a while ago.
So that
it's one of the first novels.
It's like one of the first canon.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what year did that split actually happen? Was that 2014?
When Disney acquired. Can you look that up? Because I'm trying to figure out what this book is.
Let me take a look and see here. Star Wars.
Oh, while you guys are doing that, I was thinking, what if what's his name isn't coming back as Darth Maul, but like Starkiller, Apprentice Starkiller.
Right, he's in the video games, right?
Yeah, like he was originally in what was that? The Force Awakens, right? Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed. Yeah. He's Darth Vader's secret apprentice.
Yeah, Starkiller. And we know that we know the name Starkiller is canon now because of Starkiller Base in the new movie.
And I think his real name was like Galen Malik or Melik or something like that.
So it looks like it's Cham Syndulla trying to kind of, I might be getting this wrong, but kill Vader and the Emperor when they visit Ryloth. Please correct me on this if I'm wrong. Takes place 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. Orn Free Tall is still alive. Oh, all right. So that's what changes. That's totally fair.
Well, they did say attempted murder.
Hey, there's hope for Lots of interest then.
So
there's hope with the headshot.
Right. So Shay tells us in the chat that the actual retcon reboot happened in 2012. According to Wikipedia, though, it says 2014. What it says here.
Well, 2012 might have been when they acquired it. 2014 might have been when the first books came out. Would be my guess.
Yeah, because according to the Star Wars fandom page, the following it has a list. The following material, though released after April 25th, 2014, is not considered canon. So 2014 was when the official, I guess, canon reset kind of happens.
I mean, so personally, I've gotten into the books and the comics, and I like them, and I like that a lot of that stuff connects with it. But there are a lot of books and comics at this point, so the fact that it's sort of not going to be 100% isn't necessarily shocking, just because I don't necessarily think they want the books or comics to get in the way of their plans for the shows or movies. I don't necessarily think that's a great idea, since they've established this as part of canon. I think if you're going to be like, okay, this is the canon, all this connects, you have to be a little more careful about that. But I can't really do anything about that. That's just my opinion. So the fact that like Ormfrey Taw is alive in this book, or that Kanan's kind of origin of Order 66 is different from the Kanan comics. Like jumping back to Clone Wars, Ahsoka's version of what happened with the Siege of Mandalore is different in the Ahsoka book, I believe, than what happens in that final arc of Clone Wars. So there's a lot of like things in there that are not 100% accurate. I think maybe like the big picture stuff is canon, but the details might not be. I mean, the truth of it is like this, like 2014, 2021, that's 7 years. You know, there's been a lot of stuff that came out. So it might not even have really been on their radar that this, like, about this book when they were doing this. I mean, I also don't know how involved necessarily, because I think like some of the stuff, if Dave Filoni was involved in it, I would be more likely to believe it was going to be closer to canon. I think he was involved in the Ahsoka book, but I also think that book came out before he knew he was going to get that final season of Clone Wars. But like Kanan and Hera meeting, I think would probably be close to accurate with the books. I mean, I don't know. That's completely fair. That's because that's a big change. That's sort of hard to just kind of look over, because I know that they've said before of like, a lot of times with the books, it's sort of depending on whoever is telling the story in the book, like that whole perspective thing. It's not necessarily unreliable narrator in the sense of they're lying, but maybe they're misremembering it or something because it's years later. But I don't know how you can have that as the explanation with this character is dead, but in the book he's not.
Yeah, I just based off of the fact that they said attempted, I'm going to lean towards the fact that he is not actually dead. But
seems weird, but okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty clean headshot, so I don't know how he would survive that. But
maybe they got a doppelganger and he's gonna like be the puppet.
Maybe
I can see that. Maybe.
Close. It's Star Wars. They're just gonna clone him.
Yeah, or I've seen was it Happy Gilmore, and that dude had a like a railroad spike in his head and he was fine. So I don't know.
Yeah, let's take the medical things from Happy Gilmore.
There's an actual thing where that happened.
Well, yeah, because it depends on where it hit, where it hits you in the brain.
Phineas Gage. Phineas Gage was the guy who had I think it was actually a railroad spike, kind of exploded through his head, and he lived. He basically just had no filter anymore and no inhibitions. So he went from being a normal dude to a spike like shot through his head, and he was kind of a dick afterwards.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like you hear people that have strokes that you know their personality changes because like some of their synapses are like all like weird now.
Yeah, obviously his didn't fire right since there was a hole through his brain.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know.
My
I guess
part of Phineas Gage is, I think if I remember correctly, he like walked home, and everyone was like horrified.
Yeah, like how are you doing this? I believe that. So yeah, I mean, I'm assuming we'll find out next week whether he actually lives or not.
It is sci-fi. I mean,
yeah. So we don't know.
But I'd be all for retcons if they bring Asajj Ventress back. Like retcon that whole book, bring her back. I'm down.
I would like to at least see like the book happen. You know, like I kind of because I haven't read the book yet. I do know what it's about. I kind of like that. Spoilers. She got our like nice little redemption. I think that's cool. And I don't know how you would kind of like. The only way I could really see you retconning that is like, nah, she's still kind of a bad guy bounty hunter. You know, so
they could do it.
I mean, they could. Again, the only reason I'm ever hesitant on some of the retcon stuff is I think Dave Filoni was pretty involved with that book. So that's the only reason that I wouldn't necessarily see them.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to be like official Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer for the whole they killed off, we think, a character that's supposed to be alive according to the books. Most of the other ones, I kind of understand the explanation of like they're not remembering it correctly because in the Kanan comics, he's like in basically like a coma or something when he's remembering his past. Ahsoka, she's like remembering the events of essentially a giant, huge battle that happened right before Order 66 when all her friends tried to murder her and then they all died. Those are pretty traumatic events, and I can totally understand those memories getting a little screwy, but I can't really say that about, now that guy died, but he's like not anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, in general, like individual people on. Sorry, go ahead.
Have any of you guys read the Luke Skywalker Adventures book? It's like a canon book, and it's like short stories about Luke Skywalker, but it's all told from like different perspectives. Like one was told from like a stormtrooper or something like that. One's told by like some kind of space, like I think she's a nanny or something like that. She's telling like kids about the story, like where she believes that he's some kind of like a not a magician, but like a trickster, like an illusionist type thing. You know, adventures, but like in a different way type thing. It's kind of interesting, kind of funny.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
It's funny because that kind of leans into what I was saying is that like on the whole, like individual people when they're telling a story, they're kind of unreliable narrators because everything is just from their specific perspective, which is why when you're getting information about things, you go to like 3 or 4 different sources and ask them all, okay, what happened here? Because then you can kind of piece the pieces together.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I totally get that on most retcon, but again, dude, not dead. Like, it's a hard one to get past.
When a person is specifically taking part in a story, it's kind of like, hard to do that.
Oh crap! I forgot he died 5 years ago. Let me retell this story. He wasn't actually there.
Maybe, was I wrong? Was it someone else? Yeah.
It's his cousin, Corm Freeta. Like, that was a hard one to get past. On most of those, I can't go with the Lucasfilm party line that they came out with after all the complaints about the Kanan thing. I don't know that I can get with that line on this.
Yeah. I don't know. We will see next week, most likely, whether he survives or not. But I think that kind of wraps up our discussion on episode 11. I typically ask you guys for predictions on the next episode, but we kind of talked about that already over the course of all of this. So just a couple. Sorry.
I will say weirdly, that's made me kind of think of Black Widow because like like Black Widow, we know what happens with Hera in the future.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit. It's slightly different though, because with this, like me, this is a TV show, so I can sit down and start watching it. I don't know that anyone is going to go and watch Black Widow as their first Marvel movie. Like, maybe.
That would be amazing. Can you imagine how confused you'd be?
Right? So that'd be a little weird. Like, I'm not going to say that no one who hasn't seen a Marvel movie isn't going to see Black Widow now, but it's going to be a little unusual for them not to have any idea about the rest of the MCU.
I mean, you can. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say there's definitely references to stuff that would be hard to pick up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, speaking of Black Widow, my first reminder will be we now have up which the premiere might be over now. I'm not sure how long that was. I think it came out to like an hour and a half. Our first episode of the Illuminerdi POV, which is our discussion on Black Widow. You can also download it as a podcast through any of your podcast apps.
Except maybe not Stitcher. We're not sure on that
possibly not Stitcher, but most of the other ones we should be up on. I will double check that, and if we're not on there yet, I'll resubmit it. This weekend on Saturday, we will have the Ranger wrap-up and the Retro Ranger wrap-up. The Retro Ranger wrap-up, we will be discussing the last 3 episodes of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Not sure exactly what they're going to be talking about on the regular Ranger wrap-up, because there's no new episodes of Dino Fury out right now. But I'm sure there's news for them to cover. Sunday, we will be at the Comic Bug in Manhattan Beach for a signing with Jason David Frank, Tommy the Green Ranger from the original Mighty Morphin. And I don't know, JD, what was even been like 13 other seasons in addition to that?
Yeah, pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Just say he's in all of them. Just watch out when you'll find.
He'll show up.
Yeah, all like 900 episodes. Then so everything starts again on Tuesday with the season, possibly series finale of Loki. We don't know if it's getting season 2.
Yeah.
So
there's rumors that there are. So out of all of the shows so far, I would say this is the most likely one to be a season finale.
And Shay chimed in on the wrestling Illuminary Wrestling Order. We might be starting at 4 p.m. for this week because there is a pay-per-view. As soon as we know, we will tweet that out and post on YouTube to let you know officially what time that is going to be starting at. Other than that, we got the right.
I was just going to say, keep an eye on the Illuminardi's Twitter, because we might be having a Black Widow watch along.
Yes. We depending on what time that's happening, we'll determine whether or not we can do that. Just scheduling, we'll have to see if it works out, right?
Yep.
And yeah, I guess that'll be it. So I'm gonna sit here awkwardly until Shay turns us off. Bye.
Bye.